Tune in to today's video to understand how to break unhealthy communication patterns, how to improve social skills, manage your emotions, and be empathetic towards others. Learn how to use communication to build bridges, not walls, with conversation tips and a speaking presence that sparks optimism and engagement. Effective communication creates relationships that foster trust and helps you to achieve better social, emotional, and mental health. With a bit of focus and sustained effort, you can present a more confident face to the world, advance your career, problem solve, and build healthier, deeper connections. Let's get started. Emotional awareness. Emotional awareness begins with intrapersonal communication. Healthy communication is predicated on a keen awareness of your own emotions. To cultivate a pattern of emotional awareness, it starts with a bit of introspection. Our brains are always having these microchemical reactions that make us feel different emotions: anger, fear, joy, distrust. These emotions affect how we communicate and how well you get along with other people. Think about how a grumpy boss or a spouse can change the entire mood of a room. If you've ever gone into work and had an unpleasant interaction with a supervisor and you thought to yourself, did someone wake up on the wrong side of the coffin this morning? I'm joking, but when we are communicating, because our brains are always having these chemical reactions, the way that we talk to other people can affect them. It can affect their mood, it can affect their self-esteem. If we understand our own emotions, we can communicate in ways that make our relationships better and help us succeed at work and in life. If you've ever noticed, when you're talking to somebody, have you ever just been able to tell that you could really open up to them? If the answer is yes, your brain released the chemical called oxytocin, and this makes us feel that positive feel-good emotion during interactions. Oxytocin is the feel-good hormone, and it's a neurotransmitter. Communication habits that release oxytocin in a conversation, according to neuroscientist Judith Glaser, are leading with empathy and concern for others. Phrases like, "I'm sorry to hear about that." They disarm people and they show that you care. Painting a picture of mutual success. Many managers will threaten to write up an employee, or they will threaten, something punitive like taking something away like a bonus. What if a manager led with this instead? "Is everything okay? I appreciate all that you do and I want to set you up for success. How can I do that?" This simple shift in language can drastically redirect the conversation and influence open discussion and motivation, as opposed to shutting that employee down. Next is stimulating discussion and asking questions rather than leaning on assumptions. And last is being direct and truthful about what's on your mind. When we have positive conversations, it disarms us, we feel relaxed and chill, we're less stressed, and we can just sit back and really connect with the other person. That sets us up for having more meaningful conversations in the future. If we start paying attention to our own thoughts, we can actually change the chemistry of our brains. We can catch ourselves before we say something hurtful or inappropriate. When we appreciate our mindset, we can turn off messages that create negative communication experiences, use better judgment, and come from a place of kindness or asking better questions. These are the ways of communicating that create better relational outcomes. Being able to see the world from another person's perspective is the benchmark of having healthy communication. It's called empathy. When you feel heard and understood, you're more inclined to engage in conversation and intimate aspects of your life with other people because you feel safe. Empathy facilitates a better comprehension of others' viewpoints and experiences, thereby fostering more authentic connections. The process of emotional healing, in fact, is aided by being heard by another person. For example, when somebody lends a caring ear to what we're going through, our struggles, somehow our suffering is alleviated. Even if they don't agree with us, the mere acknowledgement of our pain is sufficient. In the workplace, demonstrating empathy towards colleagues cultivates trust and fortifies those relationships as well. By showing that you understand and care about their unique perspectives, you can establish a more positive and supportive atmosphere. This helps to reduce misunderstandings and conflicts and promotes effective collaboration. When team members perceive that their insights are valued and that their voice is heard, they're more likely to feel invested in and satisfied with their work. Empathetic leadership has been shown to decrease employee stress levels while increasing job and life satisfaction. And this in turn can yield enhanced productivity and reduce turnover rates in the workplace. Remember, empathy plays a critical role in communication by building trust, improving conversations. In the workplace, empathy enhances creativity, reduces misunderstandings and conflicts, and it promotes respect while bolstering overall job satisfaction. Whether it's interacting with your colleagues, your family members, or loved ones, cultivating empathy into your communication style is going to foster more positive and supportive relational environments. Up next is listening. Connection comes from being heard. If you want to improve communication, then add active listening to your arsenal. In terms of frequency, listening ranks the first among communication activities. Listening not only matters in the workplace, it's ranked the highest desired communication trait in families and socially. At work, it helps us to feel more connected to our colleagues and the organization. At home, it's an opportunity to offer emotional support, build trust, and contribute to a sense of emotional well-being. If you are doing the following poor listening habits, you might want to reconsider your communication style. Poor listening habits include pseudo-listening, pretending you're engaged in the conversation when your mind is actually engaged somewhere else. Stage hogging, overloading the conversation with information about you, interrupting before the other person has an opportunity to finish their thought, or hogging the conversation where no one can get a word in. Another no-no is selective listening. That's only responding to parts of the conversation and sort of cherry picking what you want to talk about. The opposite of selective listening is insulated listening, and that's tuning out anything that you don't want to hear or deal with. Defensive listening also kills communication. Defensive listeners take things personal and they project their issues and insecurities onto others. And finally, ambushing. Ambushing is the type of listening that kills communication. Ambushing means that you weaponize information during a conversation and you attack the speaker with it. These types of listening behaviors foster misunderstandings, fuel contempt, and they really ruin a supportive communication climate. In order to be a good listener, give directive feedback. Directive feedback includes asking questions, offering your perspective, providing guidance, and doing so without judgment. A good listener also provides reflective feedback. Reflective feedback involves paraphrasing, showing the speaker that you understand, and validating what the speaker is saying to you. Finally, a good listener is attentive to nonverbal cues. Active listening is something that is going to help both parties communicate more effectively. Again, connection comes from being heard. When we feel connected to people, we tend to like them more. We maintain relationships and connection through listening. And listening decreases our apprehensions about other people. So definitely add listening, active listening, to your communication arsenal. All of the strategies that we've discussed are for the most part internal activities. The final strategy in improving communication is responding or giving feedback. In communication, feedback is your unique expression of what the speaker's words mean to you. Think of a healthy response as a form of communication reciprocity. Reciprocity is deeply rooted in our brains, neurochemistry. It activates reward centers, evokes pleasure, and reinforces positive social behavior. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone responds in a way to where you feel so satisfied by their response, you feel understood, you are disarmed, and you really want to continue talking to them and further the discussion? This is because effective communication responses release oxytocin. There's that feel-good hormone again, oxytocin. Oxytocin is released during positive reciprocal interactions. Pro-social behaviors like healthy interpersonal responses are linked to reciprocity. Here are key types of supportive responses that people are actually looking for in communication. The first is validation. A phrase such as, "You're right, that situation is so unfair." offering to be a resource. Let me know if there's anything that I can do. Praise. You did a great job on that presentation. Reassurance. Everything is going to be okay. You got this. Or diversion. You know what? You are really struggling right now. Let's go for a walk and take your mind off of things. Adding responsiveness to our communication model demonstrates the transactional nature of communication. Responsiveness is basic to improving interpersonal communication and relational satisfaction. Consider the moment that you receive good news. Research indicates that you don't get the full enjoyment out of the good news until you've actually shared it with someone who receives it and gives you a supportive response. For example, imagine telling someone that you won the lottery and they're like, nah, that's not a very satisfying response. You want a response that meets your excitement, a response that mirrors your communication climate. That would be more satisfying. Something like, oh my gosh, that is so exciting. Let's go shopping, right? Responses should show solidarity, be supportive, and mirror the other person in the conversation. So you want to be sure to respond in a way that promotes healthy interpersonal relationships, repairs damage, and creates a climate where open and honest communication can occur. Well, those are my 4 tips for improving your communication. I'm Nadia Heron, and I thank you so much for listening. Make it a great day.